I think that's so important to have people to emulate out there that you look up to. I think for sure her being Asian American was that influence over me.
And it's so great to just see more and more API folks on the global stage nowadays.
Welcome to API Futures, a podcast by Ascend where we empower global leaders of tomorrow. Here's our guest host for this episode.
Welcome, everybody, to API Futures. I am your guest host. My name is Franco Finn. Many of you may recognize me for the last 23 seasons. If you've ever been to Oracle Arena in Oakland or the new Chase Center in San Francisco, I've been the hype man for your Golden State Warriors, but I've also been the hype man for many other sporting teams, from the Oakland Raiders to San Francisco Giants to also Cal, Berkeley, Go Bears, for college football. I've done many events all across the country, from NASCAR, Red Bull Extreme Sports, Sail GP, Rugby World Cup Sevens, the FIBA World Cup, you name it. If you need a hype man, I am there. I've been all over the world hyping up sports, which I love the most. But what I really get to do is really get to talk to some amazing folks through my travels and my experiences and my relationships in sports. And so here with me today, I am so excited to have a friend of mine, but also someone I am very much fond of and also support 150%. You know her as an Olympic gold medalist. Yes. Also, she's a philanthropist, a children's author. Don't forget, Dancing with the Stars champion. I know I have to mention that too. She is just an amazing community leader, a person that has done some great things, obviously, on the ice. When we remembered she captured that goal, for us in representing the AAPI community right there and being the first Asian woman to get that gold. And we were so proud. And that Wheaties box, I still have that, by the way. My dear friend, Kristi Yamaguchi, please welcome her here to API Futures.
Hello, Franco. How are you?
Hi. Did I leave anything else out? I mean, I have all this stuff. I really do have a Wheaties box with you on it.
Oh, funny. Yeah. No, yeah. We covered quite a bit, so that was a very good job.
Okay. Well, thank you. And there's a lot more, obviously, but what I'm really excited about is to talk about your great work in the community too. And that's really what this is about as well. Not only to celebrate all your great accomplishments, of course, winning that Olympic gold, which we all, many of us may remember. I remember it very vividly because you're a Bay Area gal. You're a Bay Area native, and winning that gold meant winning the gold for all of us here, especially in the Bay Area. So you're a Bay Area native. You're born in Hayward, grew up in Fremont. But what was it like growing up in the Bay Area of California? What can you tell everybody about that?
It was great. It was awesome. Fremont, it was a small, sleepy town. It's grown so much more. It's a lot different now than it was, 40, 50 years ago when I was growing up. But it was great. Being in the Bay Area, it's always been, very diverse, a lot of different cultures, very rich in the arts and obviously the sports. Culture is incredible. So a lot of inspiration everywhere you look. And I think that's why at heart, I will always be a Bay Area girl.
Yes. And we're so proud in the Bay Area because you are our community hero, Shiro, rather. Really, we looked up to you. Not only your accomplishments, obviously on the ice was so huge to see someone that looked like us win such a high level in this sport, in ice skating. And like I said, you were on, Wheaties boxes. You were just everywhere. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, she's our very own and she's made it out there. That was so inspiring. But let's look back at your journey to get there, because yes, we may see you as that champion there on the ice. And it was such a huge moment, but you know what? There's so many things that maybe people may not know about you. You were actually born with a bilateral clubfoot, and this really impacted your life. I mean, you're ice skating. Tell us about what that meant to you and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, so when I was born, my feet were kind of like wrapped around like this, I think, when I was born. And right away, about 2 weeks old, I went into casts on both feet and like lower parts of the legs to straighten them out. And my mom said they had to be changed every 2 weeks because, the rate of growth when you're a baby.
Mhm.
So I wore those for about 18 months. And then after those came off, had the corrective shoes where you have the bar between the feet and it's turning your feet out and trying to straighten the legs and how the legs are growing. So, it was just part of it. I was so little that, I mean, I do remember having the bar and trying to sleep with it and it's so uncomfortable and not really being able to learn how to walk properly. I
Wow.
was like doing the army crawl and stuff like that. But eventually, things got fairly corrected. And I was, lucky, I think, that my parents were able to get those corrections done for me early on. And, it allowed me to try different things. And, sports weren't totally up my alley, which I tried many different things, but it wasn't until I found ice skating, which was when I was about 6, where it's like, hey, this is something very cool and interesting, and I really like it. And when they found that, hey, she found this sport, she's like thriving in it and enjoys it, they let me continue.
Yeah, and that's something that I think we should all definitely appreciate is when you have supportive parents like that saw something in you and you've overcome this bilateral club foot thing, but physical therapy and all that, just the love and the attention your parents put into you, the support, and saying, okay, we'll get through all this. And then you found your passion in skating. I mean, talk about your parents. I mean, just being there by your side. I mean, the story of like the hard work, dedication, driving you at 4 a.m., right? This is right. Before school, 4 in the morning to practice when you're a youngster, looking back.
Yeah.
Do you think the support and dedication of your parents like impacts you professionally, personally? Like, what does that mean to you?
Had an incredible support from my family. Definitely. I mean, it was my dream and my, fancy to try and do this skating thing, whatever it meant. They didn't know what was entailed. And, eventually it was like, oh, go after school. Oh, go like 3 times a week after school. Then it was like, okay, now you have to start going before school in the morning. And, by the time I was middle school, it was like 5 to 6 days a week at 5 in the morning on the ice. It wasn't mean like arriving at 5. We had to get there 10 minutes early to be able to put our skates on and be on the ice by 5. My coach, ran a very tight ship, and she wouldn't mention it to the skaters, but she would mention it to the parents if they were like 1 minute late.
Wow. And
You'd see.
that 1 minute late.
Oh, yeah. She'd be like, set your 5 minutes earlier.
Oh my! But I gotta say, I mean, that discipline,
Yeah.
I'm sure, prepared you for everything you've done in your life, right? I mean, to be
Yes.
a champion and a gold medalist, you have to be the best at the best. You got to take it so serious. Is there anything, an influence in your cultural and your background? You're Japanese American, right? And is there any of those kind of things that come into play when you were growing up? And has that influenced you, if you will?
Yeah, I'm sure there are. I mean, I'm Yonsei, which means I'm 4th generation Japanese American. And although my dad is 2nd generation, but in Japanese culture, you go by the mom's side.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So she's 3rd generation. My dad's 2nd. But, I think they just set expectations early on, for my brother, sister, and I, all 3 of us, that if you're doing something, you're doing it 100%, maybe even 110%, and if it's a sport or extracurricular activity, you can do that as long as you keep your grades up and you're doing well in school. So there was a focus there as well. And, I think they were good at really defining those expectations and living by them and, holding us accountable, because there were times where if I was goofing off on the ice or, wasn't quite practicing as hard as I should have been or whatever, wasting time, she'd come inside the ice rink and be like, hey, maybe we should leave. Like, you gotta go do your homework. I'm not wasting my time here if you're not, if you're wasting your time. So, you kind of learn like, oh, okay, if I'm here and I'm making my mom be here at the rink, I gotta make the most of every second I had.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I thank my parents for just being on me, being on time, like just setting those early on so that, in my mind that you got to take everything serious. If you're doing it right, go in all the way. Why are we wasting our time here? Right.
Right.
Indeed. And so let's talk about this team you had. You and Rudy Galindo were quite the team, winning several U.S. championship titles from 1986 to 1990. What made you such a winning team? Talk about that that dynamic with you and Rudy.
Oh man, that seems so long ago when you in the 80s. But it's true. We teamed up together when we were 11. I was 11, he was 13.
Wow.
And we were one of the things that made us a good team was that we were both very strong single skaters. So he was already the novice national men's champion at 13. And Rudy, he was 13. So he was this tiny, like amazing little skater. And then I was very, very tiny at 11 myself. So, people at the rink were like, oh, how cute. You two would look so great skating together, which never, ever crossed my mind to skate
No.
pairs. But, I think we were kind of, oh, well, let's just try it out for fun and see how it goes. And literally, we were two kids, just like, oh, this is fun. Like, we could skate together, we do side-by-side jumps, and he kind of lift me a little bit. But we've progressed, I think, a lot faster than we expected and anyone else expected. And really, within 3 years, we were competing at the national level and then international level. And so we did it. We competed in singles and pair skating, two separate events, for like 7 years together. And maybe 8 years. And, captured junior national title, two senior level national titles, and then 2 years in a row we were fifth place at the World Championship. So in the highest placing U.S. team at that time. So yeah, it was fun. We had a great partnership. We had like-minded skating skills and approaches, very artistic minded as far as our style on the ice. So we had a lot of fun.
Okay. Did you have any little squabbles? Come on.
Oh, yeah.
I want to try to dig in deep. I mean, you work so closely together. There has to be like annoying moments like, go do this, do that. No, you did it wrong. Like,
oh, totally. So, I mean, you were, our teenage years, right? Growing up together,
oh my gosh.
basically. So, but yeah, we were like best friends too. So, we grew up and our coach always enforced, you never blame each other. You were out there as a team, team sports, you're around it every night. You never blame each other for something. If someone makes a mistake, it's both of your mistakes. So, we really lived by that, but it still didn't stop us from like being like skate faster or kind of like push each other to do things. But it was like a marriage early on. We were young and little, but but we had to figure out, okay, how are we going to manage this relationship and work together?
Oh yeah, and it's about that match. You have to understand each other. It's marriage, it's teamwork, right? You have to work as a team. That's amazing. Talk about winning this gold now. Do you remember that moment? Like, just walk us through. I know you probably shared this a million times, but just that moment when they actually announced your name at the very top, and you are the gold medalist. What did that feel to you that day? And share with us that experience, because none of us, I can't even touch that gold, and I'm so far away from that. But gosh, you went to the pinnacle of the best of the best of the best in the world.
Thank you. Well, if you might hear my dog playing in the background, so sorry. He's getting riled up right now. But it was, I think, a pinch me moment for sure. Obviously, it was the honor of a lifetime to compete and represent the United States at the Olympic Games. And my dream, like it was my dream just to be there. It didn't really matter at that point what place I got or what medal, if I got a medal, but to compete the way I did and come out with the gold. That I think stepping onto the ice and waiting for the announcement during the award ceremony, it was announced Olympic gold medals in French because we were in France for the Olympics, and it was just like a mix of emotions. Obviously, pure elation and so much gratitude. I don't know. I just remember feeling that, just the gratitude for everyone who's done anything for me, my coaches, the support, my family, and stepping onto the podium and trying to find my parents and my sister Lori, who I knew were in the audience somewhere, to share that moment with them. Because I'm like, they can't be on the podium with me, but I want to find them. So to share that moment.
That must have been so special. I got to ask you, what was your first meal with your family after the gold? Like, what were you? Could you eat? Were you even like? I can't believe.
No.
Like,
Okay.
What was your meal? What did you do that day? What did you do that night?
This is the hilarious thing. So after the awards ceremony, and mind you, this is all before social media and instant gratification of like, information and everything. But after the awards ceremony, I had to go through doping. So, they pull the top 3 or the top 4 skaters in each event and then a random person. So, you get pulled into doping, you're monitored until you're able to produce a sample and be tested. But that takes a while. And it was already late at night, and my family, I still hadn't really actually seen them. But they ended up going out to dinner at this, little Swiss Italian, I think, restaurant with Katerina Witt, actually.
What?
I know, Katerina Witt's like, hey, Yamaguchi family, let's go celebrate. And they're like, well, Kristi's in doping. Like, I couldn't even join them. So off they went with Katerina to have.
You had a meal with Katerina while you were getting tested.
Yeah.
On the Olympic gold night.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I don't think I got out of there till like 1 a.m.
Wow.
And then, so at that point, everyone was gone, done, whatever. So I just went back to the Olympic Village and literally joined some friends who were I was scraping the raclette cheese. It was like scraps of food.
Oh my!
The leftovers.
How funny is that? You just went to the and you're like, I'll eat what I can eat right now because it's been a long day and long night.
Right. But I did I did sleep with the medal under my pillow that night.
You did?
Yes. Yeah.
And how did you bite it? Like how gold medalists they'll bite it,
Yeah, I was like, why do people bite it? I guess, to put a dent in the gold, but yeah, of course you have to do that thing.
And my question is, do you keep it in a nice safe? Do you wear it? Do you ever wear it out in public? I mean, that's like I have 4 championship rings and I keep mine in the safe. I don't even wear mine out in the public because I'm so scared to get it lost because it means so much to me with my NBA titles. What do you do with your gold?
Maybe I'll wear it to the next Dubs game, like walk in. No.
Well, you and Steph Curry, how about that? I'll arrange if you and Steph Curry and you guys do a night.
Yeah, night together.
Right in the center court.
No, I actually don't even have it. It's in Colorado Springs at the U.S. Figure Skating Museum. And
is that right?
Yeah. Okay. Because when it was here, it was sitting in a bank safety deposit box. So
True.
At least there it's on display. Whoever wants to see it can see it and share it. And it's with my costume, the black and gold one that I wore at the Olympics. So, they have like Brian Boitano's things there, So Penny, they just have an amazing museum of memorabilia.
Which is, by the way, all your friends, and they're great, and you still keep in touch with a lot of them. We'll get into some of those, obviously some of the charity work you've done, and Brian Boitano, you mentioned, you guys are really like best buds, and he supports you 100%. But talk about this, we'll wrap this part up with this gold part, and then we'll transition into obviously the great work you do in the community. But competing at the highest level like that, getting your mind right. You're amongst these greats, that have been doing this, and they're the best at their craft. The Brian Boitanos, Katarina Witt. I mean, these are all people that you just hear these names. They're all over. I mean, these are your peers, your colleagues. You are now at that level, and you're no longer this, small town kid that came up in this, da-da-da. No, you are in the world stage to compete at that high level. And then what did you do after? Like, what was that like? And to keep your mind just now, you are in another stratosphere to keep that professional level up. Was there anything that you wanted to do? Or you were like, I want to take a break from ice skating, or did you keep going? Like, what was that like after you won that gold?
Yeah, it's a really tough intersection, I think, for a lot of athletes, and particularly Olympic athletes, because it's a full-time job while you're training and preparing for the Olympics. And there's just that singular focus, right? It's just eat, sleep, train, rest, recover, and repeat for years and years and years leading up to the games. And, once the games are over, it's like, now what? What are my skill sets? What can I do now with my life? And, sometimes you can transition into coaching, into, a professional side. And luckily in figure skating, there was at that time a professional side to skating that was very robust and conducive to making a living. And I had the opportunity to tour for 10 years on a professional tour called Stars on Ice. And
Stars on Ice. Yeah. So you toured for 10 years.
Yeah. 10 years, we hit between 60 to 75 cities a year. Plus we did some professional competitions, which were live live network television. So there was some great prize money for us back then.
Okay.
And, it was a great segue, I guess, going from that competitive focus into the professional side of skating, which was more entertainment, right? It was more creative, and there's entertainment.
It was a show. It was a show.
It was a show,
right?
too, yeah. Mm-hmm. While still trying to keep up our technical abilities and everything. But so I was really lucky to have that outlet and a platform to do that, which was always my dream. Like I was like, okay, yeah, I like competing. This is fun. And I know I have to compete, but I really want to do ice shows. That was my big thing. So, but even after, you still have like the space, like what's next?
What's next? Yeah. And let's talk about what's next. So you pivoted here after your ice skating career. When you won the gold, you were still ice skating, doing all that, but you created a foundation called Always Dream. And it's, almost 30 years now, 3 decades worth of giving back to our community. And I think that is what I'm so honored to be a part of. I've been your hype man and auctioneer and advocate for many years. I think probably at least close to about a decade of that, just being involved, sponsoring, getting as much money as you can to help these kids. And, early childhood literacy is so important, I think. Talk to us about Always Dream and how that foundation came about and what you're doing with that.
Yeah, so I can't believe it's almost 30 years. But yes, we started as a very small organization back in 1996. And it was always about embracing the hopes and dreams of children, particularly underserved children. And we did a lot of small grant making things to organizations the first 15 years. But in 2011, really wanted to go all in and deeper and narrow into a specific subject, and that happened to be literacy. And we really believe that literacy is a foundation on which to pursue your dreams. Like when you have that, it's limitless, right? What you can achieve, but not everyone has the resources out there. So we provide access to high quality books and digital books via technology, and as well as family engagement support. We have a book coach who works with the families. So not just providing the resources, but make sure they're being utilized and that the families at home really understand how vital their role is as their child's teacher at home and how they can support their learning, because that really becomes the foundation on which the child's entire academic career is built on. So
Slowly.
If they have strong literacy skills and that love of books early on, then
They can't. They can
they
go
can dream.
where they
Yeah.
can. You're absolutely right. And I support it, not just as a donor and a supporter, and also your auctioneer that helps get money on at these galas and these events. But it really is the foundation, because you got to start there. And some of our levels here, especially in California and around the country, are pretty dismal. And it's very sad to see that our country has low reading levels, because if you can't get past that grade level, it will literally affect your entire life. And you don't know where you're going to go with that if you don't have that reading locked in early. Then it's going to be tough to get into the world and to do things. So that's why I think that's such a great org. Love being a part of it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
brought a lot of friends along the ways. I'm talking,
Oh, yes.
49er friends, Ronnie Lott and those folks, to your pal Brian Boitano, who's donated those type of things. It's really amazing how you've used your platform, and you have all these friends now that you've obviously made over the years that are notables and that are amazing at their craft, and then you brought them in the fold, and they're your friends and they support you. I could tell they love it, and they're so excited when they raise money. Talk about just what do you look forward to for the next hopefully 30 years of Always Dream? Now it's almost 30 years. What can we look forward to with that, and what can you tell people about Always Dream?
Yeah, so we are really in an exciting phase of our organization. We're in a huge growth phase. We've came up with a strategic plan where, currently, we are serving just under 5,000 individuals annually with their reading program, and hoping to get to 10,000 individuals annually served by our program by the end of 2027. So really expanding the reach of schools that we're in. We partner with schools throughout the Bay Area and also the state of Hawaii. So lots of work, many more schools to get into. We're expanding out to Sacramento this coming school year. We are looking to saturate some of the districts we're in, like Oakland Unified, as well as Alum Rock and San Jose. And then, we're on 4 islands already in Hawaii and looking to serve more and more. So lots of work to do, but with an incredible team, and obviously with support from people like you, Franco. You're so incredible, and just with your time and energy and everything. So appreciate it. But, it takes a village. We can't do this on our own. And it's so amazing when you work in the nonprofit space to see how huge of hearts and how generous and giving people are out there. And, that gives us hope every day, I think.
It really does. And everybody out there, I mean, really check it out if you get a chance. alwaysdream.org. Find out about how you can volunteer, how you can support, join our galas, wherever you are to support this amazing org. Well, best of luck with that. We hope to get another 30 more years to keep this legacy going, and for more of our youth to really get inspired through reading, through books, and to pursue their dreams like you did. And let's talk about this, though. So now, okay, this program is about, obviously highlighting some amazing Asian American notables and like yourself, but the Barbie thing is huge. Okay, first of all, the Barbie movie was crazy. I mean, my nieces were watching this thing 8 times a day, and I'm like, okay, I remember the songs, but Barbie is such a huge, iconic American thing, and you've got a Barbie, an actual Mattel, really, this is an endorsed Mattel Barbie. It's part of Inspiring Women's series, time for, of course, our Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. That announcement, when you put that together and you saw your form in a Barbie, which is such an iconic brand, what did that mean to you? I mean, you're now in front of the world, literally figure forever cemented.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, it's so funny. It's like, oh yeah, you won the gold medal, but you're a Barbie. That's even a bigger stamp of approval. It's so funny because people will be like, wow, well, now you've really made it. It's so hilarious. But it was cool. I mean, it was a huge honor to be asked and approached by Mattel, and then especially being in the Inspiring Women series, where so many of my personal heroes and idols are in, like Maya Angelou.
Wow.
Yeah, Jane Goodall, Dr. Jane Goodall, and Anna Mae Wong actually was a Barbie the year before, so another AAPI figure. And so it was a huge honor, and I think representing these women who have done something to maybe break a barrier or do something that a woman has never done before was kind of cool. So, my kids, I have two daughters who are teenagers. Well, they're 19 and 21 now. And at the time they're like, why are you a Barbie? Like, how do you qualify? Because they had just watched the movie too and everything. And I was just like, whatever. You'll appreciate later on, maybe.
You'll appreciate. Don't you worry, girls. Don't you worry. But we'll talk about your girls in a segment. So you got the Asian Barbie. By the way, I don't know if you knew that it was an actual Oriental Barbie. There was one called Oriental Barbie. Well, that which was, I guess, an attempt to make it to Asian, if you will. Which who even uses that word anymore? That's right. That's how far back that name goes. Like you're like, oh my gosh, what are these folks thinking? But you know what? You made it on there. And, not only I'm joking about the Wheaties box because that back then was a huge deal to make it on, like when you're a sports figure like Michael Jordan or any of these guys, you make it on a Wheaties box. It seems to be like you're a champion and it's official. But that's amazing. You're cemented here. And then also just a global ambassador for Olympic skating and ice skating. It keeps you busy, right? When the Olympics comes on, are you always called upon? Like no matter what, like, oh, here's our professional, Kristi. Chime us in. You're probably busy at these 4 years, right?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, especially when it comes to skating, getting kind of the insight of what to look for at the Olympics or analyze what just happened or who to cheer for or how things are going. So it's really exciting. And less than a year away now for the Milan Olympics in 2026.
Already.
So very exciting. Yeah, hopefully I'll get a trip out to Milan and do some kind of work out there. But currently I am actually now an official athlete ambassador for the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Foundation. So, doing a lot to kind of, garner support for these Olympic athletes who are preparing and training and, putting their blood, sweat, and tears into that Olympic moment. So
for sure. And you talked about, you touched upon your daughters. You have two daughters and, obviously they look up to you as their mother and you've been a role model to so many others out there who are looking at you to say, I could do that. Now you see a world of folks that look like us out on that ice skating field. I'm the first Filipino and Asian American hype man in the NBA and the only one, 23 strong and still making a point. Still doing it, representing for our Dubs back home here in the Bay Area. And so it's a huge thing. But, I have role models. And I didn't have a lot that looked like us on TV and in sports. Who were your role models when you were rising up and ascending, if you will, to this world? Any role models? I mean, in ice skating, there was a lot of champions, but there was nobody Asian or Asian American at that time, right?
Well, actually, one of my role models was another skater. Her name's Tiffany Chin, and she currently coaches up-and-coming skaters, national-level skaters. And, she was the first Asian American national champion for figure skating.
National champion.
Yeah, for the U.S. And she won a world bronze medal. And she was like in the 83, early 80s. She was also from California and, even though she was Chinese, it was someone who looked like me and, unexplainable, but there was a connection, because you just, as a kid, you just latch onto that and you're like, wow, I think I could be like her. Or, I was inspired by her style of skating, her presence on the ice, her musicality, everything. And, I think that's so important to have people to emulate out there that you look up to. And, I think for sure her being Asian American was that influence over me.
Yeah, no, and that's great. And paved the way for many others. You've paved the way for so many others. And it's so great to just see more and more API folks on the global stage nowadays. And it's amazing. So I want to, as we wrap things up, and there's so much to cover. You do so much. I would add one little side thing before we start kind of closing up this program is, okay, Dancing with the Stars. You've crossed over into, that world of dancing. I know it's funny because I remember it was like Kristi Yamaguchi is going to be a contestant. I'm like, all right, this is another competition. I wonder how she will do. obviously, routines, choreography, discipline, this and that. But darn it, you won the darn thing. I could not believe it. And I was so proud again, times two. You did it. You're from our Bay Area. What was that like? I mean, when they approached you, where you were like, heck yeah? Or let me think about this. I'm going to dance. Like, I'm not on skates. I'm dancing now with a partner.
Yeah.
What was your first initial? Did they come up to you and say, Kristi, you in? You want to do this?
Yes. Yeah. They approached my agent, and she said, of course, my agent said, oh, yeah, you got to do it. You got to. I was just like, whoa. Like, I was a big fan of the show. I love watching it. And my girlfriends and I actually did Dancing with the Stars pool every season.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And
you were a fan of this show already.
Yes. So I was a fan of the show already. But, mind you, when you watch it and discuss it with your girlfriend, you're like tearing everyone apart, right? You're like, what was with that costume? And like that music choice was terrible. And, and I was just, when I got asked, I was like, oh my gosh, I do not want to put myself out there like that. Like, that's a scary thing. And it's live TV and whatnot. But, at the same time, it sounded like a fun challenge. And I went in with a specific attitude, like I am going to be open to learning, open to this incredible experience. And it's not the Olympics. Like, don't worry about it. It's not that kind of pressure. But have fun with it. Just, and I had a great partner. Mark Ballas was my partner. Amazing guy. So talented. Pushed me, in all the right directions. And it was such a positive experience. Like, to this
day. Did it come natural to you? Did it flow? Like, you were like, you know what? I got choreography down. I got this. Was it really hard? Is it really hard to work with like that type of?
Yeah. It was different. Like, it definitely, like, performing wise, I think athletes do well on that show typically because they know how to perform under pressure. They know live TV, you just got to fake it till you make it, whatever. Right. But I think the judges do hold you accountable to improving every week. Like, even if you start here, they want to see that progression. If you start here, they still want to see that progression. And they really base their scores off of that. And, so it was a challenge every week to get better and better.
Yeah. Was it Olympic gold, Kristi, that locked in and said, I got honed in. I'm going to win this. I don't care what competition it is. And it could be anything. Yeah. But it was Olympic gold, Kristi, locking in, focus.
It kind of got there eventually. Like, at the beginning, the first couple weeks, it's like, okay, just having fun, like getting to know her. I mean, I was on a season with Priscilla Presley. It was just kind of like every time I walked in a room and she was there, it was kind of like you felt like you wanted to bow and be like,
Elvis.
Mother. Yeah.
You're a descendant of,
Yeah. Marlee Maitland, the Oscar winner. It was an incredible cast that year. And I was, I was just in awe of being there. But then by like the 4th and 5th week, you're invested, right? You put this time in, and, the family was moved and invested. So then you start locking in and be like, okay, I want to be on another week. I want to be on another week after that. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay, all I want to be is in the finals so I can do a freestyle. And,
But you wanted to win, though. You did want to win, and you were going to go all the way.
Yeah. I think Mark wanted to win more than I did.
I'm sure he could, too.
But it was great. It was good.
So the last question with that is, where's this mirror ball? Do you have anything about they should go in a dancing museum, Hall of Fame museum, maybe your shoes you wore, the outfit?
There's been so many amazing people on that show. But yeah, it's upstairs. I have it in like a little room.
Yeah, it's actually you get to keep this mirror ball.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you get your own little trophy with your name on the plaque.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, in the season, season 6. That's so long ago, right? But you know what? I do have to say there was a Bay Area sport connection. I always thought it was such the cheesiest show, and I was like, oh my God, it's so cheesy, but it's fun to watch. Until Jerry Rice did it. And then he totally made it legit in my eyes.
Was smooth. Jerry had I was very surprised at Jerry's footwork. Not surprised, but surprised. I'm like, football player.
Yes. And then, being the Niner fan we are, It was like, okay, this is the GOAT. This is like the most untouchable person. If he could do it, then, this is a legit show.
It's legit. No,
Yeah.
Jerry could do it, and he is the GOAT. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. You could do it. Well, you're amongst those GOATs now in the Dancing with the Stars world. Iconic as well. So this is amazing. So I'm going to wrap up with this. This is so much fun chatting with you. I mean, this is why, I love these type of programs because, we are friends, but I support you with what you're doing with the community. I've known your career. I've worked with your brother for so many years. And like, I just felt like I've known you, and you're right in our backyard here in the Bay Area. But, if you had to give advice to your younger self, now that you look at this amazing career, what you've done and paved the way for so many folks out there, what would you give your younger self advice to? Like, what would you say now that you've lived this amazing life, this mission? What would you say? Like, what's one thing that you could have maybe told yourself back then, and now you know now?
I think maybe one thing is like enjoy the journey a little more. Like take a breath. Really enjoy it.
And then just
I mean, because there's so many times where I was just like so dialed in training, and I was like just, not a robot, but just kind of living through the day and just getting through it. And it's just like there were so many times where it's just amazing. And I think with technology these days, people are so lucky because they can more easily record and journal, and maybe journal more too, just so you have these experiences at your fingertips, because there's so many life lessons you learn along the way, and just try to remember those, the good ones and the bad ones.
Journaling, and I'm talking about writing too. Writing is actually sometimes a lost art, I feel like, because we have such gadgets now, and we're just blah blah blah. And on the flip side, I'm as guilty as it is. I mean, I've been in championships, with the Warriors and all these, and here's my phone capturing it. Like, wait, there's moments for that, yes, and I want to remember because I do want to go look back. But then there's times I'm just going to put that phone away and let me just breathe that top to the top. And this is right. I know it's just a balance. You got to find that balance, right? But writing to me is nice too, because it gets your mind going, and then you've written it, and pen to paper, you've thought about it, right? And journaling is important, I think, too.
Yeah,
right. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. No, lots of great advice. And there's so much, so little time, but so much to talk about. But Kristi Yamaguchi, thank you so much, my friend, for always being so supportive and always lending a voice, especially in our AAPI community. You are always like the first on my mind, and you are always the first to say yes. That's what's amazing too. And that's, I think, what makes you so special is that you reached the pinnacle in whatever you've done in life. You put that hard work. You're a true testament and true example, a good role model, like Steph Curry is. Hard work, dedication pays off. That's why I love those type of folks like that. You, Steph Curry's, those ones that really put the work in, but they're humble at the same time. And that combination is so rare sometimes you see in professional sports and entertainment, but you are truly the real deal.
Thank you, Franco. No,
you really are. And that's why I love what you're doing with the youth, and you've inspired so many, including myself. I want to continue to inspire more. So check it out, everybody. If you want to hear, obviously, this entire interview here, all you got to do is just log on, of course, follow us here, API Futures. You can go on to, of course, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, whatever platform you desire right there. Replay this as many times as you can. You can learn a thing or two from our amazing Olympic champion and friend and our shiro, Miss Kristi Yamaguchi. Thank you so much, Kristi.
Thank you, Franco.
All right. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Thanks for listening to API Futures, presented by Ascend, where we empower global leaders of tomorrow. Subscribe to API Futures on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple.